Okay, so I thought we would take a left turn here, and since we were talking about arpeggios in the last video, using the diminished chord, I thought we would just expand on the arpeggio part and play through a guitar classic that every guitar player should be able to play, and that would be House of the Rising Sun. And it can actually be pretty interesting to talk about it. The basic chord structure in the intro is A minor to C to D to F to A minor to E to A minor to E. That's for the introduction. Now, in the right hand, we're going to arpeggiate, and the rhythm we're trying to get is bop, 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 bop. Okay, so on the A minor chord, so what I'm doing is I'm starting on the open A, right there on the open A, and then I'm just dragging down the strings and coming back up. So on the A minor chord, I play the open A, drag down through the next four, and then come back up two. So I have 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And then it goes to the C chord, which is a simple move, and then does the exact same pattern, starting on the A string, and then drags down through the 4, and then back up. So from the A minor to the C, okay, I'm going to stop there a minute. So that's playing it perfectly just between those two chords. I'm not switching early or anything like that. The guy who actually played it, on that last note that you would hit on the G string, he lifted up his finger early and then went to the C chord. So this is the way it was actually played. Lift up that finger. Okay, but the right hand pattern is the same in either case. Starting with the A string, A, drag down through the next 4, and then come back up. So a good thing to practice is just to practice that pattern on any chord. You can just play it on the C chord, play it on the A minor chord, just to get used to that pattern and see how fast you can get it. It takes a little bit of control to get some speed going. And keep that rhythm right. Dot, 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 dot. That's the rhythm that you want. If your left hand gets tired, you can even just play it on open strings. Which isn't a bad idea. So once again, the first chord, A minor, and then play it like he did and lift up that finger. Okay, now the next chord is D. So because he's starting on the D string, on the 4th string, and you want to keep the same rhythm pattern going, and in this case we only have 4 strings. So what he did is he repeated the note on the high E string. He played that one twice like this, starting on the D string, dragged down through the next three, and now he repeated that note and then came back down. Okay, like that. But once again, what he did on that final note is he lifted up his hand in order to get to the next chord, which is F. So he played it like this. He played an open G there because he was getting his hand ready to go to the F chord, which is the next chord. So probably the reason that that song was played that way, I doubt, it's my theory, I doubt that it was intentional. I think it was just that he couldn't switch his chords all that great. And so what he did is he always lifted his hand on that very last note in order to get to the next chord, because he couldn't switch his chords fast enough. So we play that D chord starting on the D string, go down 3, and then we pick back up. And then if we want to play it like he did, and why not, is we lift up the hand, play the open G, and then he puts his hand on the F chord, simple little F chord with the bar on the first, and he does the same picking pattern starting on the D string, repeats that high E string, and then when he gets to that last note, he lifts his hand up again and plays that open G. So what happens is every time, the way you can look at it is every time you're switching to a new chord, you're going to play that open G string because you're lifting your hand up just that fraction early. So coming from the beginning, we have here's that G. There is the G there because the G is part of the C chord. We don't have to worry about it. It goes to the D, starting on the D string. Repeat the high E, lift up and play that open G, drop down onto the F chord. Lift the hand up. Now the next chord after that is A minor. So we're back to the original pattern starting on the A string. And then the next chord is E. So once again, when he gets to that final note in the A minor chord, he lifts his hand up, plays that open G, and then he goes to the E. Now the pattern on the E chord is to play the low E string and then skip the A string and go to the D strings like this. And then the next chord is A minor, so he lifts his hand up too early, plays the open G, goes back to the A minor chord. Next chord is E, lifts the hand up early, plays the open G, goes back to the E. And then the vocal comes in, lifts up and plays that open G, and back to the A minor, where the vocal starts. So I'm going to play that really slow a couple of times, just to give you something to play along with. So we'll play it at about 1, 2, 3, 4. So as I said, you need to gain control over that right hand to get that rhythm. So it's not a bad idea just to practice that pattern in the right hand. And you can even do that with the strings muffled if you want, and then just start on the A string. Okay, so basically you have 3 different right hand patterns in this song. You have that pattern where you start on the A string, go up the 4 and then come back 2. And then when you get to the D chord and the F chord, you're starting on the D string, going up 3, repeating the high E note, and then coming back 2. So that's how you achieve that same rhythm. And then we come back to the A minor pattern, starting on the on the A string. When we get to the E chord, we play the low E, skip the A string, come to the D string, and finish it just like the A, just like the one where we start on the A string. So we play the low E, like that. Low E, skip the A, go to the D, go all the way up, and then back 2. So that's the way I'd recommend practicing that. And you can even just randomly go through those 3 patterns. Think of them as a pattern that starts on the A string, a pattern that starts on the D string, and a pattern that starts on the low E. The A pattern, the D pattern with the repeated high E, the E pattern where we start with the low E but skip a string and then finish it up the same as the A. Good one to practice with a metronome. Just try to get some real focus in that right hand so that it's not just willy-nilly dragging over the string. You have to have some control over what's happening there. So you really want to be able to feel it and sense it in your right hand as you're practicing that rhythm. Dot, 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 dot. So if you were setting a metronome to that, you would just set the metronome so that it clicked just on the first of each of those patterns. Click, 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 click. Okay? If your metronome doesn't go that slow, then you can set it so that it beats twice during that pattern. Click, 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 click. That's probably more realistic. I don't know if metronomes go as slow as my first suggestion. So let me know if you have any questions on that. And and also when he actually starts singing, the pattern changes just a tiny bit, but we'll talk about that next.